daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Manchester United podcast. You're joined by me today, Sam Brady, of course, and I'm joined by my good friend Cormac. How are we, sir?
Doing good. Yeah. It's. I think this is the first time I've been on an episode after we've won 3 in a row since I joined. So good mood right now.
I mean, mate, it's been a while. I mean, after I believe it was Liverpool, that was the first time we had won 2 in a row under Almoran, and now it's 3 in a row, mate. So who can stop him, mate? You know. So I mean, and we'll get onto it later on in the episode, but it was only a couple of weeks ago where people were sort of calling for Almoran's head, and he was under a lot of pressure, and now it seems like he's the pressure's off and somehow we're 5th in the league. So I mean, how times can change, but as I said, we'll get onto that in just a second and talk through just the Premier League table in general. I mean, obviously there's a lot of twists and turns and a lot of unexpected teams that are up there, and one of them is of course United. So we'll touch on that in just a second. But of course, this is our first episode back since the Brighton game on Saturday. In the end, Cormac, a pretty comfortable 4-2 win, but it was nervy at the end there. What did you make of the game in general?
Yeah, no, I thought it was, the lads played superb again. I mean, got a great start, first goal, and then, the lucky Casemiro deflection. But honestly, I thought we were cruising. I was worried going into the match because looking back, the last 5 times we played Brighton in the league, they beat us 4 out of the 5 times. So, we know they've come to Old Trafford in the past and beaten us. So I was pretty nervous. But honestly, I thought they didn't look that threatening at all. I mean, Lamin's really I think he had 1 save in the first half, and then it was towards the last 15, 20 minutes he was called into action again. But yeah, no, United looked so dangerous. There was chances, for even more chances. I thought Sesko maybe could have bagged one. But yeah, no, it's just so positive to see them playing the way they are. It looks like they're really buying into what Almoran's doing. It's about time, I think. But no, Mbeumo was class. Cunha, I thought was class again. Even I didn't think Bruno was at his best, but now it's kind of at the point where in the past we were relying on him to pull us through these, and now we have quality in other areas and they can kind of take him through it. But it was a great performance and another 3 points, and I don't have a clue how we're ahead of Liverpool, because if you had said that a few weeks ago, I would have thought you're mad. But yeah, no, it's positive signs ahead, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned there you think Bruno maybe didn't have his best game, but he still managed to produce a little bit of magic with his dummy for
that was class. Yeah.
That was very nice on the eye. But yeah, I echo everything you said there, to be honest. I think I like what I'm seeing now. It's more, there's more cohesion. They seem like they're playing with a lot more confidence. I do like what I'm saying. And look, as I said at the start of the episode, I think we have to be very careful, because it was only a couple of weeks ago where Almoran was under pressure and we were talking very negatively. So it shows how, look, football's funny how times can quickly change, and now we're looking in a lot better position. But I like what I'm seeing in terms of the link-up play. Players are playing with confidence. Look, I said after Liverpool, and I'll say it again, I still do think there's obviously a lot more to go and a lot more improvement to be made. And I said after Liverpool, I do think now our attention does need to focus on the defence, because as I said, look, it seemed like we were cruising at 3-0 and we somehow managed to let Brighton get back into the game. That being said, it was an absolute banging free kick from Danny Welbeck, which we'll touch on in a second. So yeah, I do think there's areas still. Look, there's a lot of improvement to go, but it looks like finally the pressure is just relieved off everyone. And I think even in the crowd you saw in Old Trafford, there's a lot more just confidence and a bit more energy back in the crowd, and everyone's just feeling that bit more better about themselves. You can see it in the players. You can even see it with Almoran in terms of the comments he's making. I remember he made the comment after Liverpool where he said to the media, "Look, you keep your narrative, keep on with this narrative, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing." So I think even there's that bit of cheekiness from Almoran now, and yeah, I like what I'm seeing. And look, we've got a very tough game against Forest away on the weekend, and then a very tough game away at Spurs. And I think that man with his haircut, mate, will be absolutely sweating buckets now, because he probably couldn't have got two harder last games with the five. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what he does with that. In terms of, you mentioned there, Mbuemo and Cunha, I mean, their link-up play throughout the past couple of games has been outstanding, but I think in particular on the weekend, it was amazing. Just touch upon them.
Yeah, no, I mean, they were linking up so well. I remember there was a point in Bueno slipped the ball into Cunha kind of through the right side of the defence, and we just weren't seeing that before. But yeah, no, delighted for Cunha to get, his first goal for us, and, Bueno firing on all cylinders again. But it's just such, I think that's really what we were missing the last few years. You look at the likes of, Garnacho, I felt like he was kind of trying to do it himself. He wasn't really linking up great. Same with kind of Rashford, you could say. He had Anthony up there, not really helping much. And it was all just, I think, stagnant. And they were all kind of just relying on Bruno to kind of, find them. But, I mean, now the fluidity, it's so fun to watch. I mean, you touched about that Bruno dummy, the last goal. I mean, we just weren't seeing that in the past.
Yeah.
And now it actually, it gives me confidence now going into the next game that, we have that attack where you can go out and score goals, compared to last season where it would be rare, to be honest, if we were able to get a goal or two. I think for a good while we hadn't scored more than 3 goals in a game under Almoran, so it was just that bad. But no, I was to score 4 at Old Trafford, look comfortable against. And I said it, a few weeks ago. I think Almoran's system has always been kind of decent against the bigger teams. You look back at, results against Liverpool City last year, but it was kind of the mid-table, lower league teams where I felt like this system really wasn't helping us. But I mean, credit to him, it completely worked against Brighton, and I thought we just looked so much better than them. But yeah, Bueno and Cunha, I mean, they really have been great signings, and I think you have to give credit to the recruitment team because they just went out, kind of didn't go for the bigger European names, they're still big enough names, but Premier League guys. And yeah, they've worked out so well, and yeah, excited to see them keep moving forward.
Yeah, I think Jamie Redknapp summed it up pretty perfectly after the game, where he said, we always talk negatively of United's recruitment and have done in the past couple of years, but we also have to talk about it when they get things right. And definitely this summer so far with Mbuemo, Cunha, Lamens, Sesko is still a bit of a question mark, but definitely with those three, we have to give credit where credit's due in terms of that. And I think the difference this time, okay, not Lamens, but in terms of Mbuemo and Cunha, is they're Premier League proven. For so many years, we've gone out and got the next best thing from Europe. But obviously, they're going to take time to adjust to the Premier League. Whereas we've seen for the past couple of seasons now, Mbuemo and Cunha can cut it in the Premier League. Okay, there's going to be a question mark over can they make the step up to a bigger club, with all due respect to Wolves and Brentford. But if we're already seeing you do it for a Wolves and Brentford, there's evidence there you can do it in the new league. And in terms of Mbuemo and Cunha, and Mbuemo as well, but Cunha, I think what I love about him, he does everything with intent. He when he gets the ball, he knows exactly what he's doing. And I think our front three, well, if you include Ahmad in that as well, I think Ahmad, Mbuemo and Cunha are everything that a United attacker should be. They get the ball and they try and make things happen. And I think for so many years now, our attackers just haven't filled us with excitement, too many sideways passes. Whereas that Mbeumo, Cunha, and Ahmad, I'll include that. Even if they lose it 9 times, they'll try the 10th time. You know, that there's that speed, there's that drive to always try and make something happen. And when you've got 2 out of your 3 front men doing that, you're always gonna be dangerous going forward. And if we can now start to integrate Sesko and make that a front three, I mean, we've got one of the most dangerous front threes in the league. If Sesko can also start to, chip in with a few goals here and there and really help with the link-up play as well, because I know Gary Neville mentioned it as well, but at the minute, it definitely does feel like Mbeumo, Cunha, and then just Sesko separate. So I think if he can start to pick up a bit of form as well, then yeah, I feel like we can be a real force. But I think you saw it with Cunha's goal. Casemiro plays it into him, and the first thing on his mind was to take the touch to the right and bend it round the defender. And we need players like that going forward, and I think that is everything that a United attacker should be. And I think those two especially, they feel like they're holding the weight of the shirt very well, and they aren't sort of folding under the pressure of the shirt, which many players have done. And look, I'm not blaming any players that have come here and failed under the pressure, because look, it is a big shirt and it holds a lot of weight. But Mbeumo and Cunha, if they can be firing like this all season, I mean, we're gonna cause any defense trouble. That's why I say, obviously now, I think we need to look at our defense and look at our recruitment in terms of areas like that. But yeah, going forward, look, we're a real threat, and to score 4 goals against a pretty decent Brighton team is good for any team on their day. Sort of let alone the worst United team we've ever had, apparently. So yeah, all good signs, and we'll talk more positive signs just after this quick break from our sponsor.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionic, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionic provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionic. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the daily Manchester United podcast. Look, in the first part of the episode, we talked about the really positive game and the positive win against Brighton, another win. And look, I'm starting to get used to this now, Cormac. But look, one player I do want to touch on. We've talked about the new signings, but one player who has come under a lot of criticism in recent times, but on Saturday he looked like his old self. It's that man Casemiro in the middle of the park. He got a standing ovation when he walked off. We spoke last week after the Liverpool game because he went to Asia with Brazil. So look, the man's playing his part and he's putting in a shift. Cormac, another great performance from him again.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously he had that assist to start the game off to Cunha and then followed it up with a goal, albeit a fortunate goal. But yeah, I mean, the man's just timeless. You know, he has, as you said, come under scrutiny in the past. But yeah, that performance on Saturday it reminded me of kind of when we signed him the first season, where he was just unbelievable. But yeah, no, it's good having that. If he can keep that consistent along with Bruno, because we've said, centre mid's kind of an area where we need recruitment, or we'd like to see, the likes of Baleba or someone come in. But if he can kind of just keep what he's doing, complement Bruno nicely, I think he can work out well for the rest of the season. Definitely, I don't even know if we'll need another centre mid especially, if we can kind of get Ugarte firing a bit. But yeah, no, Casemiro is phenomenal. I think if he still had the pace, he used to have a bit more legs in him. I think you're talking about being, if he can keep consistent, one of maybe the best defensive mids in the league. If he did have that pace still, I think that just kind of lets him down a bit. But I mean, yeah, it was a timeless performance. He was so solid, and even the last few games, his passing as well has impressed me a lot. Obviously he had the assist to Cunha, but it kind of reminded me of, again, back when we first signed him, just that quality. I feel like last season maybe he was kind of, didn't look good on the ball, looked nervous at times, giving the ball away cheaply, but he looks confident again. He's able to play, nice tiki-taka football at times in the middle. So yeah, he has impressed me.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with Casemiro, right, and I say this all the time, if you come into United and just work and you're a dog and you just put in an absolute shift and everyone can see that, we'll fall in love with you as a player, like no matter who you are. And we won't mind about the quality, but if you show that you just dog it out, you work so hard, then you will be loved and appreciated by the fans. And I think that sums up Casemiro. I think, look, we don't expect the sort of the younger years of Casemiro. We know now he's obviously slowing down and he can't play a full 90 minutes. But when he plays those 60, 70 minutes, he puts in an absolute shift in the middle of the park. And look, he's not a long-term solution. We know that as well. So, and we also know, and he might know this, that this might be his last season at United. But what a couple seasons he's had at United. I mean, he will be adored now by United fans forever. And I think it's one of them where when he spoke in the summer, I remember he said that he loves playing for United and his best years was actually that first year, which maybe surprised a lot of people. But it's one of them where I genuinely think he loves playing for United, and you can see that with the effort he puts in. And look, as I said, he's not a long-term solution. And last year, I did think, look, buddy, it's time to move on. Like, I remember Jamie Carragher leave the football before the football leaves you. And how far we've moved on from that. I mean, look, he, as you said, he's timeless. We adore him, and he put another great shift in on the weekend. So yeah, what a player. Look, and in terms of the game, I mean, obviously we were comfortable at 3-0. What happened that last sort of 10 minutes? I mean, let's touch on the first sort of Brighton goal and the man who scored it, Danny Welbeck. I mean, obviously this is a United podcast. Danny Welbeck is very closely tied, obviously, with his United links. There's been rumours that, hey, if Thomas Tuchel needs a backup in the summer, then maybe Danny Welbeck's your man. Just a word on his form right now, and what a free kick, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, another man who's just timeless. I mean, I'm still surprised he's producing the goods at the rate he is. I mean, obviously he's. I remember he scored against Arsenal back in the day against us, but I mean, we know he has that quality. And yeah, that free kick, I mean, it was a great strike, but honestly, I felt Lamens could have done it a little bit better. I think the issue was the free was so close. Like, he seemed like Lamens was wary of him going to his left near post, and I think Lamens was just a second too late reacting to it. But still, nonetheless, right under the crossbar, it was a bit of dip curve on it. It was a great strike, and yeah, if anyone was going to score for Brighton, I mean, you kind of felt like it was going to be him. So credit to him, though. He's still supplying the goods, and makes me think like we might have sold him a good bit too early. I think he could have done a job for us, especially when we had those striker issues over the past few years.
Can he do a job for England, Cormac?
England. That might be. I mean, do you know what? I feel like
he has a good record for England.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, obviously, you have Harry Kane up top. That's kind of his position. But I feel like as a kind of a super sub, he could do a job. I think has that experience, obviously, too.
Yeah, I mean, Ollie Watkins isn't really firing this year. So look, I mean, if Danny Welbeck keeps playing the way he's playing, Tuchel's got a decision to make. I mean, what what a sort of revival that would be for him. And I mean, I'm speaking for all United fans. I think we'd be like so happy to see him back in the squad. And yeah, what a free kick. As you mentioned, Lemens maybe could have done a better job, but I mean, it just came out of nowhere. You didn't expect him to sort of bang it in like that. I mean, I can't remember the last time Welbeck scored a free kick like that, but yeah, great goal. And then obviously at 3-1, you're thinking they can't do it, can they? And then at 3-2, you're thinking, hang on a minute, they can do it. So it was 3-2 going into the 90. How has that happened, Cormac?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that stuff's happened to us all too often in the past. I mean, when that second goal goes in, I was thinking just pure deja vu. Here we go again. Like it would be us to battle it now. But no, I mean, it's positive signs that, they push on and actually not even, just closed up shop and scraped out of it. They got a goal to put it away, which I don't think we're seeing in the past. But yeah, I don't know if it was in the players' back of their minds, like, oh, here we go again, and kind of got a bit nervous. But I mean, in the end, Mbeumo got that goal, and it didn't really matter in the end. But it should have definitely been a more comfortable win. But I think, even though Brighton got 2 goals, I think we were still so much better than them. And if they had somehow scraped a draw, I think it would have just been absolutely demoralising. And I think we wouldn't really be as in an optimistic mood now. I think if that had happened, I'd kind of be like, oh, here we go again. Like, wins might be hard to find, but no, the lads, fair play, and they pulled through it, and I think it's a catalyst now to go on a really good run.
Yeah, I mean, let's touch on Almoran and how we set up, because the problem, I think, what happened at the end is we got too comfortable. And I also think Almoran got a bit too comfortable. I think the subs that he brought on quite early on, to be honest, around the 70th minute mark, okay, you're 3-0 up, that's fine. But with 20 minutes to play against a decent Brighton side, the subs you're bringing on, I think, send a message to the rest of the squad. Like, you're bringing on Heaven, Zerchi, Agate. So I think a lot of the message that got around and that Almoran was sending really was, look, we're comfortable here, lads. We've done. Let's set up shop. And I think I think doing that against a Burnley or West Ham even at the minute is fine. But with 20 minutes to go against a Brighton or a Bournemouth or whoever, I think you're playing with fire a little bit like that, because, look, as it turned out to be, they only need 1 goal and they're right back in it. And look, you won't put it past us to bottle that in the past couple seasons. So yeah, I do think it was not the greatest decision from Almoran. But in terms of a positive that you can take from that, I think Almoran at the beginning of the game tried to go really tight. He tried to push. He made the defence push really high up. But you saw the first 10, 20 minutes, balls were getting played in those channels, in behind De Ligt and in behind the fullbacks. And then I think you saw Almoran go, you know what, lads? Drop a couple yards. Let's just sit and not give away these cheap chances, which we don't have to do. And I think that's a positive, that you can look at that and go, you know what, like, people say Almoran doesn't adapt. And look, he didn't adapt the system at all, but he tweaked it a little bit. And I think Almoran, the way I thought after the game was, you know what, he's almost learning on the job, and which is a crazy statement to say, I know, nearly a year on, but at the same time, and to be honest, yeah, he probably should have figured this out by now in terms of who you can press against and who you can't press against. And Brighton are definitely a team where you can't get really tight and press against them because they play good football. Even I was thinking that first 10, 20 minutes, like, bloody hell, like, Brighton can pop it about a bit, like, we're in for a tough game on our hands here. But the positive you can take from it, Almoran recognised that and went, you know what, let me tweak it here and there, and look, it turned out to be the right decision. And I think just subtle things like that, Almoran sort of learning on the job, and look, as I said, should he really be still learning it a year on? Maybe not, but the fact that he did that was a positive. So I think we'll see more of that from Almoran. Don't be surprised that if we come up against different teams and we start a certain way and then it's not going the way how it is, because I think Almoran's still sort of learning, still tweaking and playing around with what he can and can't do against certain teams. So now we'll know. Now he'll know, I guess, when we play them back at the Amex, not to do that.
Yeah, and I think that's what, a lot of us United fans want to see, because we've said time and time again he doesn't change things, but the fact that he is now kind of starting to change things, I think, is what we've all been crying out for. And even if he is learning on the job, which maybe he's into the job enough, but I mean, the fact that he's just getting more flexible and a bit more adaptable is, I think, all we really need to go on and have success, because I think he was just too set in stone on his idea to play, and now I think it's good that he's figuring out, okay, maybe this isn't working. It's been too much time.
Hear me out, Cormac, and people might think this is crazy to say, but do you think there was maybe more pressure on this game than there was against Liverpool? Because no one expected us to do anything against Liverpool, and everyone expected us just to get battered. Whereas this game against Brighton, it was massive. It was absolutely massive, mate, in terms of building that momentum. And if we would have lost it, we would be back to square one again. So do you almost feel like this game was massive now? Yeah,
no, I agree. I mean, you said, against Liverpool, everyone was expecting us to get battered. That's one, there's really no pressure at all. If you can get a draw, even that's a superb result. The fact that we won was absolutely amazing. But yeah, I mean, going into this one, we had won 2 in a row. First time we'd done that under him. But, to go and win 3, I think that's where you're really like, okay, like, this is a sign, the best form we've been in under him. And, these, as I was saying, these are the games that kind of would get to us in the past, these kind of mid to high table team games coming to Old Trafford and kind of, run and ride a little bit. So I definitely think there was a lot more pressure on this game, and it was a chance to really see what the lads were made of, after the back of the Liverpool match. And yeah, they showed up, they showed us what we wanted to see, and fair play to them. Got the job done, and yeah, I mean, hopefully we can go out and do a 4th game now.
Yeah, exactly. So with City losing to Villa, Liverpool losing to Brentford, Chelsea losing to Sunderland, Cormac, that leaves us in 5th. Now, if you would have said that a couple of weeks ago, people would think you're crazy. So how far can we go, mate?
Yeah, I mean, if I had said this weeks ago, I would have, just called myself insane. But I think top 4 is properly on now. And, just based off the form, the way the players are gelling right now, we've seen we can beat the top teams. All granted, Liverpool have been on a pretty dismal run right now. I think 4 losses in a row. But yeah, I mean, I think players look so good right now. The attack, we finally have a competent attack. I think top 4 at this moment should be the expectation. And, granted, we'll see in a couple of weeks how they're still playing. But I mean, I could see them putting on, I mean, we're only 6 points off the top. I could see them putting on a little bit of a, maybe charge staying maybe within 9-10 points at first. But I'm actually very optimistic. Yeah, I can't believe I'm saying that, because I was thinking, here we go, another 15th, 14th place finish at the start of the season. But no, I think they look really good, and I'm very optimistic, I think, for what they can do.
Yeah, I think obviously what I'm about to say is the 2 clubs I'm about to include we're in completely different situations with. But I think we've got a similar feeling to what Arsenal fans are feeling right now, where obviously they're going for the league and we're, well, hopefully going for Champions League. But I think both of us are thinking, come on, like, we can do this now. Like, this is actually the season where we can actually get to where we think we can get to. Because you've seen just this weekend alone that the big teams are struggling and there's inconsistency. So if you're that one team that stays consistent, you can really sort of push on and really get ahead. And obviously Arsenal are at the top of the league now by 4 points. So they're going to be thinking okay, this is our year. Big teams are stumbling. And if I was in that United dressing room and if I was Almoran, I'd be saying, come on, lads, we got this. we may have struggled at the start of the year and it was awful and we thought it was going to be terrible, but we're in 5th, lads. Like, let's just keep it going, and if we can stay even slightly consistent, we will give ourselves a chance. And I think that's all United fans really want by the end of the season, just to be in and amongst it, just to give ourselves a chance, that we go into those last couple of weeks thinking, you know what, we can do this if we pick up a few results here and there. What can't happen is like last season, where we come to the end, the few last couple of weeks, and we're not in anything and we're not challenging for anything. I think with a week's break, game by game, to a week to prepare for the game, we can seriously do this. And I think not only should, as fans, we start thinking like we can do this, but as I said, the players should start going, you know what, like, we're not as bad as everyone says we are. Like, they can all chat and rival fans can say what they want, but why don't, like, we'll just focus on ourselves. And I think, as I said, in compared to us and Arsenal, I think that's what Arsenal fans are thinking right now. Arsenal fans are thinking, oh, everyone thinks we're going to bottle and we're not made for it. But let's not listen to the outside noise. Let's just focus on ourselves and kick on. And I think we should as well adopt that mentality. Look, and it's very possible. And I think United now are where most fans probably expected us to be at the start of the season. Maybe a bit high, but I expected us come the end of the season to be floating around the sort of 7th, 6th, 8th, 5th range. And obviously there's still a lot of games to go. And I do expect us to drop down maybe to like 7th or 8th or 6th. But give it a couple of weeks, and as we've sort of been the topic of this episode, I guess, in terms of how quickly football can change. Give it a couple of weeks, and if we're in and amongst it by Christmas, then we're giving ourselves a real chance. So, yeah, I think that should be the realistic ambition. And I know, as I said at the start, I know one man who is definitely hoping that, and that's United Strand. So, look, Forest away on Saturday, and look, again with Forest away, it's a game where we can win. I think the lads and the fans now should be looking at Forest away and going, you know what, like, maybe a couple of weeks ago, if you asked me, I would have said no chance. But now, look, we can win that. And then after that, Spurs away, you're going, you know what, like, I think we can win that as well. So slowly, week by week, you're building confidence. And no longer, and now we're looking at the fixtures and going into games going, oh, I don't know about that one, or where are we going to pick up points? Like, we shouldn't have that mentality. We should have the mentality now, go, you know what, guys, let's go. So, yeah, very positive. And I think, look, we'll leave it on a positive note, because many episodes in the past couple of weeks and months, we've left it on maybe a negative. So it's finally good to leave it on a positive. And it's always positive speaking to you, Cormac.
Likewise, mate.
Been a pleasure, mate. And look, for the listeners and for the viewers, loads more episodes to come this week. And obviously the big game on Saturday as well. But for me, it's goodbye. And for Cormac, it's goodbye as well. We'll see you in the next one.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.